This is a true crime discussions channel. We speculate. This is all just speculation. Because it's true crime, it's for mature audiences only. There will be no children allowed, no exceptions. Everything on this channel falls under fair use. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It's free.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you all here today. Thank you so much for being here. We have a lot to go over. Oh, my goodness, Cara, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. I want to say hey to you guys real quick. Hey, Cara, Eek, Anders, Bazard, good to see you. Indie Girl, Eek, Hobby Farmer, Anders, Katia Pickerel, hello. I'm probably slaughtering your name. I'm sorry about that. Bad Girl, Amanda, Mayla's mom, good to see you. Me, Ma, Indie Girl, Rachel Lee, good to see you. Cara, Bazard, Edith, hey. I see, Cara, you gifted already. My goodness, thank you. All things serious, good to see you. Need some Z's. Sarah, my beautiful, thank you for being here. Shaboogies, I saw Shaboogies. Thomas, Shaboogies. I think that's everybody. If I missed you, please let me know or comment below and I will shout you out. Now I need to find Cara. Cara. Where are you? Cara gifted 5 memberships. There it is. If you guys were gifted a membership from Cara, please tell her thank you. And that was super sweet and supportive of you. I will play our clip real quick. Sweet of you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. We have a lot to talk about. I'm on dual stream with Hio. We have some. Oh, Bad Girl, my goodness. Hey, Norma, good to see you. Shell, good to see you. Bad Girl, thank you for the support. Bad Girl said, just want to send you my support and say I appreciate you all. Stay safe, everyone. That was super sweet of you. Thank you. That was so sweet. Thank you so much. Hey, Jill, good to see you. Okay. All right. So we have a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about Delphi, and there's actually a reason I'm talking about Delphi today. And I'll show you guys why in a little bit, but we're going to start with some other things. I did think you can see the West Memphis 3. It tells us that basically they're going to test new DNA in that case. We can look at it. Yeah, we'll look at that in a minute. But I'm going to start with the Kentucky sheriff. We have body cam footage from right after the Kentucky sheriff shot Judge Mullins. So it's Sheriff Stines and Judge Mullins. And we have that body cam footage that just recently came out. So we'll go over that real quick. This is going to be from Law and Crime Network.
We're going to get a crime thing while I'm starting.
Good Lord. Let me turn that down a little bit. Shelby, good to see you. Okay. So this again is going to be the Kentucky Sheriff Stines, who shot Judge Mullins, in his chambers. I don't know if y'all have seen the videos of that. We've done a couple of live streams on it, but they got a hold of the body cam footage from that. So we'll watch that real quick.
For the first time, we are seeing body camera footage after a judge is shot in his chambers, and we're hearing from the sheriff accused of the crime.
Please be fair to me, boys. Now, come on now.
I'll tell you more of what Mickey Stines said.
So he said, please be fair to me, boys. Come on now. I mean, I just find it interesting. It makes me think about the good old boy system that I think is definitely in place there. Hio is with me on panel. I'm sorry I did not even introduce you. And thank you for being here with me today in dual streaming.
Thank you for having me.
Aw, you're welcome. Rachel, you're not late. You got here right when you're supposed to be here. You're so sweet. You guys are all so sweet. Thank y'all for hanging out today.
Said after police said he shot and killed a judge. This is a law and crime legal alert. Did you know that children are being diagnosed with serious conditions like type 2 diabetes and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease? And research is potentially linking ultra-processed foods to these outcomes. Morgan & Morgan is stepping in to fight to hold food companies accountable. With
Hold on just a minute.
Crime Fix, I'm Anjanette Levy. Mickey Stines is in jail in Kentucky, charged with murdering his one-time boss and one-time friend, Judge Kevin Mullins. You're going to hear from Mickey Stines after the shooting here in a bit, and some of what he says is frankly a little confusing. The crime is shocking for many reasons. First, it's a county sheriff accused of killing a judge who was his friend and former boss.
Okay, so Sheriff Stines was a bailiff in Judge Mullins' court for years before he became the sheriff. And they're going to give us a short recap. So if you guys don't know about this case, you'll get a little bit of a catch up on it. But if you want more information on the case and they've talked about it a little bit in court. There's a whole other side of this because this happened a week after they found out that basically one of the people under Sheriff Stines that was running a drug program was basically turned the courthouse into a brothel to abuse female inmates. He was basically sleeping with them in exchange for them to be able to pay for their ankle monitor for the drug program. And they'll go more into this. The judge probably was. I mean, the way they turned this courthouse into a brothel, it's very possible.
And the shooting was recorded by a surveillance camera in Judge Mullins' chambers in Letcher County, Kentucky. We've seen it, and it's startling. It's unbelievable. This case is definitely not a whodunit, far from it. It's more of a why did he do it? A lot of people would like to know the answer to that question. Kentucky State Police investigators, Mickey Stines' lawyers, Judge Mullins' family, and the list goes on. That day, Mullins and Stines had lunch together. It was something they had done often. And by all accounts, there was no tension. Then around 3 p.m., Stines and Mullins met in Mullins' chambers. The meeting was recorded by a surveillance camera.
Sorry, I was muted. So what happened when they had lunch is Sheriff Stines brought something up to the judge and wanted to talk to him about it. And then the judge says, we need to take this to my chambers. And so then after lunch, after the sheriff tried to talk to him about something and the judge said, let's go to my chambers, they meet back in the chambers after lunch. I saw somebody come in real quick. Who was it? There you are. Jeannie B. Good to see you.
A detective explained what happened at a preliminary hearing last year.
I was told that Sheriff Stines had tried to call his daughter.
Now pay attention to this man's face because you're going to see him directly after the shooting in the body cam footage.
And he had tried to call his daughter from the judge's phone also.
Then, for reasons that remain a mystery, Stines shot Judge Mullins.
I wasn't present, but when he was taken into custody, I was told by one of the other officers that were there that he made the comment, they're trying to kidnap my wife and kid.
Now we're hearing the 911 call and seeing the aftermath of what happened.
Got emergency at the courthouse. I need ambulance here right now. District courtroom.
Which courthouse?
Court, Lex County.
And what's going on?
Judge has been shot.
The judge?
Yes.
What's his name?
Kevin Mullins. Go ahead.
We'll pause that right here because I haven't seen that part. Hey, Queen Olive Ruth Ann No Lee says, I don't want to write too much here because I'm listening and working, but love listening to this channel. One of my favorites. Aw, you're so sweet. Thank you. I'm glad you like hanging out with us. Granny to 13. Oh my goodness. Congratulations. Says that their thumbs up number 26. If you wouldn't mind, please hit the thumbs up for me. Also do the same for Hio. That would be so sweet if you guys would do that, and I'd really appreciate it.
Where are you at? Shots fired at Electric County Courthouse and somebody shot Judge Mullins. No, sir. Just come out on the radio.
Troopers race to the scene. It's not a call that you often get. A judge shot at a courthouse. When troopers arrived, they began separating witnesses.
Well, I told him to put them in separate rooms so they don't talk to each other, too. Yeah. Have you got the witnesses? No. They're doing the witnesses. Who's doing the witnesses?
Okay, so this is all new information that we have not seen yet. Directly after the shooting happened, or after the 911 call, I'm assuming.
Justin and a couple other people are walking the witnesses down through there.
And the work of securing the crime scene began.
I think he's getting that other one.
Side note here, pay attention to this little guy right here. This man, he's a police officer because he's wearing a vest, but he looks like he's like maybe 16. I don't know. He looked awfully young. Oh my goodness. Eek, you're so funny. Eek says, smash the like or you'll stub your toe. Hey, Ashley. I'm having a good Friday. I hope you are.
They still got the 10-15 in the foyer of the courthouse.
That dude looks so young to me. That's side note. Sorry, y'all.
There's also some witnesses in the judge's office, not far from where he's at. You want us to go ahead and take him down to the jail so we can get the rest of the witnesses out of the judge's office.
So they're basically telling them to get to the courthouse and get all of the witnesses out of the judge's chambers. So I don't know how many witnesses there were, but evidently there was quite a few. Hey, spread love, not hate. Good to see you. You're not late. You got here right when you were supposed to. Okay, Boomer. Good to see you. Says, remember when an elite ring was a conspiracy theory? Pepperidge Farms remembers. Oh, goodness. Today's the first day I've heard of it, too. Oh, not this case, but what Boomer was talking about. And hello, Against All Logic. Good to see you. Sorry if y'all hear that noise. It's a fan for my heater, and it's decided that it's going to pitch a fit. Need some Z's real quick. Says, Gavin Fish has great coverage of this case. I think the shooting was connected to testimonies someone, not sure who exactly, about the going-ons at the courthouse. I think the sheriff was worried. It's possible. I mean, again, just like with the Madeline Soto case, anything at this point could be possible. You don't think Needs some Z's that had any correlation to his daughter? Because it has been put out that the judge's family spat on the sheriff's family spat at the judge's family or something like that. We covered that in another case. And that the judge was indeed involved in some alternate affairs in his office as well, from what I remember from the other time we covered this on a previous live stream. Yeah, the judge was dirty, from what I remember.
Anybody hurt? Well, we got a lot going on right now. That it is, brother.
At 3:40 p.m., a couple of women who appear to be distraught, possibly family members of Judge Mullins, show up at the courthouse. A trooper holds one of them back. One woman is trying to get into the courthouse, but the trooper will not let her pass the steps. After 4 p.m. that day, dash cameras show officers leading Mickey Stines out of the courthouse in handcuffs to a waiting cruiser. And then you hear his voice talking with the troopers.
Make sure there ain't no weapons or nothing now. There ain't nothing in there, bro.
He said, ain't nothing in there, bruh. But this man right here, that's the one that was just testifying in court.
Yeah. Come on now. Right here, open up the back hatch. Come on. Now, come on.
You heard Stines tell the troopers to make sure there weren't any weapons in the back of the cruiser, and he talks then a little more.
Y'all gonna leave me in here and let me die? He talk. No, I can't get up in there. Come on.
He said, y'all gonna leave me in here and let me die. It's hot. Oh my goodness. I'm going to back it up a little bit so I don't pause while he's talking.
No, I can't get up in there. Come on now. I can't. Yeah, man, I can't get in. These cuffs are way too tight. Come on now, guys. Come on now.
Stines definitely sounds a little paranoid.
You may.
I don't think he's paranoid. I think he sounds agitated. The cuffs are tight. He don't want to. I mean, he can't get up in the truck. He's a bigger gentleman, you know. Eek gifted 10 memberships. Thank you so much for that. If you guys were gifted a membership from Eek, please tell her thank you. And that was super sweet. I'll play our clip real quick. Thank you so much for that. Eek. I didn't mean to insult you by calling you a geek. I like geeks. I'm kind of a geek anyway. Boomer said, I would be paranoid too, not knowing everyone involved in what was clearly a ring involving the sheriff's own daughter. That's what it appears to be. I mean, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I also don't think that what Neeson Z said about somebody like people knew too much about what was going on in that town to be out of the realm of possibility either. And then real quick, Mayla's mom said, I mean, I need to hear more, but this judge was doing some nasty to his daughter. I can't say I don't understand what the sheriff did. Just my opinion. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of questions in this case. I've tried to pull what I can, but I think they told me I submit FOIA requests all the time. I think they said something about I couldn't pull the information because I'm not from Kentucky, but I'm gonna double check that again.
Pick your leg up there, brother.
Y'all got carbon monoxide in here. Come on now. Come on. I can't say it like this. I can't. Come on now. Be fair to me.
We're being good to you, brother. You get stick your leg up in there.
Come on now, guys. Please don't do this to me. Please don't do this to me. Please.
You want to scoot on over a little bit to the left?
Come on now.
Try to scoot on over a little bit more.
Okay, now that I've heard more, he kind of does sound paranoid. So I have to question, does he think something's going to happen when he gets in the car? He's talking about carbon monoxide and things like that. Does he think they're going to do something to him? So that would make me think it has more to do with basically, you know, the town's in on some things and he don't know who's on whose side. And he just, you know, took out the judge. And so he don't know if these cops are on the judge's side and going to do something, you know, behind the scenes to him. I mean, judging by the way he's acting right now. Shaboogie says he's getting claustrophobic to me. Yeah. I'm sorry. Indie Girl said he's getting claustrophobic to me. Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like that. But then he talks about the carbon monoxide, which I find weird. I don't know. Yep. And now the roles are reversed. Yep.
That way we don't hit you. Can you go a bit farther? I just want to hit you with the door. Put your knee in there, my friend.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Bates. Hey, Bates.
I'm sorry, sir, but you sound whiny.
Window down.
I'm sorry.
Can we loosen this up a little? Be fair to me, man.
Okay, I was muted. Yeah, he sounds whiny. Like, you know, you're the sheriff. You put prisoners through this all the time and you gonna whine them. Like, again, and looking at it from a different perspective, do you think you got special privileges because you're the sheriff when you just committed a homicide?
Well, he's saying be fair. Like, what is he being unfair about? The fact that you're a little overweight and it's uncomfortable. It's not made to be comfortable.
Right.
Yeah, come on, man.
Right. Hey, Zan. Real quick, I got 2 comments I'm going to read. Neeson Z says, I think he's being pushy in my opinion. He's a bigger man and complaining about sitting in the back and complaining about the handcuffs. I feel he's just complaining. Yeah, that's what, yeah. Occasionally, Classy said, I seen a TikTok of a couple guys from Letcher County. They said the judge was into a lot of shady stuff for decades. They even said he had sheriffs cover up a homicide. I've seen some stuff like that too. There was one woman where her father died mysteriously. And we talked about that on a previous live. There's some interesting things going on in Letcher County, Kentucky there. For sure.
I got some air. I'll crack the window for you, but I can turn the air on back here. Okay?
Yeah. Be fair to me now.
I promise. Yeah, I promise.
God, please.
I promise.
It's hot back here, man. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Mayla's mom points out that we can't see him either, so we don't know what he has going on or what it's like back there.
The drive to the Leslie County Jail from Letcher County takes about an hour, give or take a few minutes. Stines continues to
Hey, Tommy Hooks.
Speak as if he's in fear.
Come on now, guys. Make sure I get to the jail.
That's paranoid. That's paranoid. Like, make sure I get to the jail. He's scared they're going to, like, stop along the way and something's going to happen. That's interesting.
At times, it's hard to hear the troopers in the cruiser, but they try to talk to Mickey Stines on the long drive to the jail.
Come on now, guys.
I was asking why you done it. Was it over your family?
Come on now, guys. What are you doing?
I just talking to you. I'm just asking, was it something to do with your family or anything like that?
The trooper, after several minutes, tries to ask Stines some more questions.
Was it something to do with your family?
He's not gonna answer, and he is scared. He's scared. I mean, he seems scared to death that they're gonna stop and, like, you know, accidentally get in a car wreck where only the sheriff passes away, or take him out in the woods and nobody ever finds him. He does. Like, in the beginning, I was like, why is she saying he sounds paranoid? But now I'm like, well, yeah. Mayla's mom says, how does this cop know to ask if it had to do with his family? I would assume because he said they're trying to they're trying to kidnap my wife and kid right when he came out. He said that. So that would be why I would think he's asking that. Hio said, that's what I was thinking. Somewhat of a small town thing. I hadn't come up with what you call it. Dukes of hazards and whatnot. Yeah. Yeah, it did. He don't want to talk about it.
Something happened. If something did happen, you know, I mean, it'd be good to let us know. Why did you want to talk to your daughter a while ago, Nick? Something did happen that, you know, involved something that could help you when you go to trial and get a fair trial. Let us know kind of what's going on, what led to this.
At one point,
Shell pointed out, if he's worried about something happening to him, then he knows others had something happen to them. Clearly, he didn't do anything for those people. It's hard to feel sorry for him. Hey, Aftermath, good to see you. I agree.
Sheriff Stines asks whether the troopers are actually taking him to a national forest. He doesn't believe the troopers are taking him to the right place. They tell him there is a national forest near the jail.
Maybe we're almost to the jail. I'll ask one last time. Is there anything you want? Is this anything to do with your family? If that's some information that we need to know. And what the information comes out, that always can change how investigations are worked. You know what I mean? And how they're looked at. You know that.
He hasn't asked yet, but she says he asked about the national forest. And, you know, again, going back to these small town, like, you know, places, good old boy system, all the politics of it and whatnot. It's interesting because again, I would say he's scared they're going to take him into the national forest and just, you know, get rid of him. And again, like somebody had just recently said, if he's scared it's going to happen, then it's probably happened before. I mean, for you to have that fear, you know about something, I would say. Okay, Boomer said, to be fair, he might have just uncovered things going on with the judge and deputies. And that's a possibility. Hey, Courtney.
Like I said, something led to this.
Come on now, guys. Guys, no guys.
To the jail. Got this seat right there.
This is not the jail.
Yeah.
This is not the jail now. This is not the jail.
The officers continue to drive, and they assure Mickey Stines they are taking him to the Leslie County Jail.
Okay, Mickey. Anyway, so
that did look like they were going into a national forest, you know, those one-lane roads and things. Need some Z's, says, from what I've heard, I think on Gavin's channel, I think the sheriff was either doing it to or aware of it. I think so. He is scared, bad girl. Jenny Jen, thank you for being here. The woman in her deposition implicated the judge. I don't think Sheriff Stines has been directly implicated, but she did talk about the judge doing stuff. Yes.
do you want to talk about it? Is this to do with anything with your family, your daughter, or anything? Bring it on in. Okay. Do they have to back out to get out, or does that circle out? Does it circle out, or do they get out? Okay. So,
Rachel Lee said, I feel like he might be trying to set up a corruption or fear defense. It sounds to me like he's saying the words, not feeling the feels. That's a possibility. And then Jill said, real quick, Jill said he's like in psychosis, paranoid and scared. Absolutely. Okay, Boomer said, my theory here is this got out of control, being done in front of witnesses, and they leaked it before the local deputies could put a lid on it. Very possible.
So, it's
who are you passing me off to?
Leslie. We talked about this. This is Leslie County Jail.
Who are you passing me off to, though?
No, nobody. He knows the way here. We didn't know the way.
Oh, yeah. Y'all are passing me off here now to somebody.
Vicky, I don't know why you think this.
Y'all are going to let somebody hurt me. Yeah. Come on now, guys. Be fair.
I hope you will be.
Yeah. Don't pass me off to nobody.
The only people we're passing you off to is the jailers inside here.
Just to do it.
That's the jailers.
They said there's somebody in there that they got to clear out.
Yeah, come on now, guys.
One last time, the trooper tries to get Stines to tell him whether the shooting had anything to do with his family.
Is this anything to do with your family? I think that's some information that would be nice to be out there so we knew what exactly led to this.
Asking him questions like that, if he's already paranoid, is not going to help, because he's thinking, why do you want to know, you know, if it has to do anything with my family, are you going to try to hurt them? Like if he's already in this paranoid state of mind. Tommy Hooks says one of the female inmates that testified before a grand jury said she saw Judge Mullins having relations on tape. Yep. That was it. That was what I remembered hearing. Occasionally classy. Hey, Sue Joy, by the way, said, I worry about this community. The breach of public trust must have destroyed any trust in the justice system. Possible future criminal activity may not be reported or handled after this incident. It's definitely a possibility. I think this incident is different, though, because you're talking specifically about two leaders of the town, specifically for the justice system. It might cause issues in that town in particular. It's definitely a special case.
Don't put me in that Leslie County van.
Stines is pulled out of the cruiser and taken into the jail to be booked. Stines' lawyers released the following statement to me. It says, the recently released footage affirms our belief that our client felt there was an imminent threat to his family and himself. There was an extreme amount of pressure placed upon him as a result of the pending civil case and its potential to reveal matters within the courthouse. The footage shows that our client perceived a genuine threat and its impact upon his mental health is apparent.
So what do you guys think about that? That goes back to what a couple of people said. Okay. There was an extreme amount of pressure placed upon him as a result of the pending civil case and his potential to reveal matters within the courthouse. So that goes back to things going on at the courthouse. But then you also have the footage shows that our client perceived a genuine threat and its impact upon his mental health is apparent. So that goes back to the mental health aspect of it. Like, is he being overly paranoid? Is it real? Is he saying the words but not feeling the feels?
Following Stines' arrest, we found out that he had been deposed in a civil lawsuit in the days leading up to the shooting. A woman named Sabrina Atkins sued the sheriff's office, claiming a deputy named Ben Fields had sex with her while she was on home incarceration. Atkins was arrested in 2021 on a drug charge. Atkins claims that she couldn't afford to pay for an ankle bracelet and was afraid to go back to jail. So Fields, who was supervising her on home incarceration, offered to help her in exchange for sex.
Now, this goes back to the charges and the civil case that was going on in the courtroom.
Atkins said she and Fields had sex in Judge Mullins' chambers 6 times. Fields eventually was charged criminally and served 6 months in jail. He is supposed to be on probation for 6.5 years. We don't know whether this played a role in the shooting, but there have been questions about whether it may have, and here's why. In 2022, investigators with the Kentucky Attorney General's office interviewed Sabrina Atkins, and she claimed to have seen tapes of Judge Mullins having sex with a woman in his chambers.
Kylie, thank you for being here. Kylie said, I just wanted to ask if anyone has talked about the blanket or tapestry that's hanging behind the judge in his chambers. Is that to a different room or area? Why is it hanging up there? That's a good question. I remember seeing the tapestry. It's like a quilted blanket that has it looks like almost coal miners on it. It could be. They said that there was a lot of witnesses in the judge's chambers or in that area right as they were arresting Stines, but we saw in the video footage that there was nobody else in there except for, obviously the camera. I would think it could possibly go to another room. That's probably why they hung it up there. It is kind of an odd place for it to be for it to be hanging at. So that's a good point. Bazard said, yeah, that Fields definitely looks like the type that would do this, shaking my head, right? Kylie said, haven't heard anyone mention this, but I find it strange, and it's clearly not to cover a window. The window is to the left looking at the video. Yep, you're right. It's very possible. A safe may be hidden. It could be. Carr said, I'll make it YouTube friendly. I think the sheriff is afraid they're going to unalive him and make it look like he did it a self-deletion. Or they got into a car accident and he's the only casualty. Yeah. There could be evidence in the safe if there is a safe. Yeah. All possible speculations.
But he does have some videotapes There's some stuff in the judge's chambers,
What kind of stuff?
just with girls sexual and stuff.
What describe? Have you seen the videos?
I've seen one partly, and just him having sex with girls for their bail to get out of jail.
Who was having sex?
Ben and just some higher ups up there.
Who?
The judge and.
Now you saw the video.
Yeah.
What did you see on the video? I mean, you.
I mean, I've seen Judge Mullins having sex with a girl.
Who was the girl?
I don't know, because I don't know a lot of people from over there.
Where was it at?
In his office, in the judge's chambers.
Is that the same place that you were meeting Ben? Is that how you know it was the judge's chambers?
Yeah.
And this was Judge who?
Mullins.
But you don't know who the girl was.
And one of these girls that was in the document that testified has since passed away. Like like Hio said, sounds like a movie. Yeah, it does. But it's real life. It's scary. I'm sure this girl is scared to death too right now.
We obtained that audio in a records request from the Kentucky AG's office. News Nation actually was the first to report on the audio.
But you saw the judge.
Right.
Do you know for sure that was the judge?
Yes.
I mean, how do you know that's the judge?
I've been in front of him. His face is pretty clear on there.
Mickey Stines has pleaded not guilty to the murder charge. His attorneys have suggested he was suffering from an extreme emotional disturbance at the time of the crime, and they've suggested the shooting may have been manslaughter, not murder. That's it for this episode.
So I found that interesting. Okay, next I'm going to talk about this young boy, Caleb. I'm going to pull up, we'll go ahead and just watch the news clip, and then I'll read the article if you guys want to read it that gives us more information on it. This is going to be triggering, so I just want to go ahead and warn you and let you know that this is going to be hard to hear. This young boy who was presumed missing is now deceased, and I'll read the documents to you and pull them up. This is going to be about Caleb Collins. It's going to be from...
We're following that awful breaking news in Fayette County.
It's going to be from WBRC Channel 6 News. This is just a minute and 40-second segment, and I'll work on pulling up this document that I have. That's going to kind of explain
where investigators now believe a missing one-year-old boy is dead.
New court records released today show in graphic detail the alleged abuse Caleb Collins faced. Now, we want to warn you, some of the details you're about to hear are very hard to hear. Your breaking news reporter, Taylor Pollack, has been following this story for us, joining us now in the studio with more. Taylor?
Yeah, and again, we can't stress enough that the details of these documents are extremely graphic. Wendy Pamela Bailey, the mother of missing one-year-old Caleb Collins, told Fayette County investigators her fiance, Stephen Collins, told her.
These documents are really graphic and hard to hear, but I'm going to read them to you.
He was going to kill their son and sent her pictures of his bruised and bloody body. Collins then sent a message that the child was moving, to which Bailey responded, "He just looks wore out and tired and hurt. Hopefully that's all." Bailey also told investigators Collins sent her a text message saying he was going to kill their son. According to court records, Bailey told investigators that on or around September 29th, Caleb's body was placed in a bag and briefly stored in an outside storage building before ultimately being disposed of at an unknown location. Bailey.
I don't even know.
Right now is charged with domestic violence, corpse abuse, aggravated child abuse, and criminally negligent homicide. That latter charge is in relation to the death of her 2-year-old daughter, who was unrestrained in a truck when she, Bailey, and father Stephen Collins were involved in a wreck. The 2-year-old and Stephen Collins were both killed. Right now, we know that the sheriff's office is continuing their search for Caleb. I've reached out to the district attorney's office for additional information. We'll let you know if we hear back. Morgan. Thank you, Taylor.
Okay, so that was that. I'm going to pull up an article real quick. That's going to go more into...
Why does have to have bruises up and down the leg?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm going to pull up this article. I'll read you guys this article so you know how like kind of like it started, how they found out that the child was actually missing, the car accident and all that. And then we'll look at the documents, and then we're going to talk about Delphi. Okay. Let me make sure y'all can see that and fix my comments. I'm going to give you a trigger warning, especially when I get to these documents. So this is from People, and the article is titled "Boy One Who Vanished Months Before Dad, Sister Killed in Car Crash, Now Presumed Deceased, Mom Arrested." Okay, let's not do this. So there's a picture of the mom, the dad, the boy, and the sister. It says Caleb Collins is presumed deceased. Authorities announced weeks after his father, Stephen Collins, and 2-year-old sister, Riley, died in a car crash. Authorities in Alabama have arrested a woman whose infant son is presumed deceased months after he vanished without a trace. Caleb Collins, 1, was last seen in Winfield, Alabama on September 4th, in the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency said on December 17th. His disappearance had not come to light until a car crash that killed his father and 2-year-old sibling until a car crash that killed his father and 2-year-old sibling earlier this month. I don't know why that sentence doesn't make sense, but that's what it says. He was not reported missing to authorities, who were alerted about his disappearance only following December 8th car crash, which killed his father, Stephen Bradley Collins, 40, and a 2-year-old sister, Riley Collins, the Fayette County Sheriff's Office said at the time. His mother, 22-year-old Wendy Jean Bailey, was hospitalized in critical condition following the crash. On Monday, December 30th, Alabama authorities announced several charges against her, including abuse of a corpse, aggravated child abuse, domestic violence, and criminally negligent homicide. The homicide charge is related to the death of Riley, who was allegedly not wearing a seatbelt at the time of the crash. Caleb's grandfather, Mr. Bailey, is also under arrest for allegedly failing to report the child missing. The sheriff's office previously told People. Authorities have not announced a cause of death for Steve and Riley. An Alabama Uniform Traffic Crash Report previously stated that Steve had been driving the car at twice the speed limit before the crash, and no one in the car had their seatbelts on. The announcements of Caleb's presumed death makes official what investigators had previously suspected. Investigators alleged in a complaint against John Bailey that the child likely suffered serious bodily harm or death and was believed to have been removed from the home and taken to an unknown location. Now the sheriff's office says they believe Caleb had been deceased for some time before this December 8th crash brought his disappearance to the attention of law enforcement. His body has not been found per the sheriff's office. A search is underway to recover his remains. A neighbor previously told the news station that while they knew the couple had a son, they never saw him. The parents told the neighbor and documented on social media that Caleb was sick, People previously reported. In a Facebook post shared 2 months after Caleb's disappearance, Steve wrote about the child being ill with a long road to recovery. He's not growing and has major back issues. His organs are growing, but not his body, Steve wrote, adding that the child would need surgery at some point. Keep him in your prayers. Been rough and just seems going to be a long, rough, tough road ahead of us, he wrote. And here it says it wasn't immediately clear if Wendy has entered pleas or retained an attorney to speak on her behalf. Okay. So I'm going to get these documents pulled up. And again, I'm going to warn you that it's going to be hard to hear. Because when you find out what this woman did, it's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Hey, period, point blank.
You have 4?
Yes, 4.
Oh, okay.
Well, evidently I have 3. I have 4 I have 4 printed out, but I have 3 right here. So we'll start. I think I have the 2 most important ones anyway.
If you need it, let me know. I can either throw it up there or I could Throw it on the screen.
No, the one I don't have is the aggravated child abuse. Okay. So we'll start with this one. Oh. Whoopsie. This is the domestic violence charge. And I'm going to read this to you. You have it on your screen. It says domestic violence first degree on or about July 2024. Wendy Bailey committed the crime of domestic violence in the first degree by committing the crime of assault in the first degree of the code in Alabama, to wit, under circumstances manifesting extreme indifference to the value of human life. She recklessly engaged in conduct which created a grave risk of death to Caleb Collins, to wit, after being notified by Stephen Collins via message that he was going to kill Caleb Collins, followed by photographs, trigger warning, followed by photographs of Caleb Collins hanging aloft with a rope with blood present on his body, and a photo of Caleb Collins lying supine on the floor with extreme bruising present on his body, followed by a message from Stephen Collins that stated, "He won't move. I'm so sorry." Stephen then sent, "He's moving." Wendy Bailey acknowledged the photograph and replied, "He just looks wore out and tired and hurt. Hopefully that's all." Wendy Bailey failed to intervene or notify law enforcement after she was made aware of the extreme circumstances and assault that had occurred to Caleb Collins, and the victim is related to the defendant, to wit, the defendant's child. The one I don't have is child abuse, so I'll just read it to you real quick, and then I'll pull the other two up so you guys can read it with me. The child abuse one says, aggravated child abuse, a Miss Wendy Bailey, a responsible person as defined in the code, committed the crime of aggravated child abuse of a child under the age of 6 by knowingly violating the provisions of Section 2615.3 by acts taking place on more than 2 occasions, to wit, failing to report known physical child abuse and knowingly acted with blatant disregard to the abuse that occurred to Caleb Collins, who was 15 months old, by Stephen Bradley Collins, Caleb's father, during July 2024. Wendy acknowledged the fact of knowing and failing to intervene on more than 2 occasions that Caleb Collins was physically abused by torturous means, such as being bound with a rope, physically assaulted, and being bound by a rope from a loft with blood and bruisings present, in which photographs depicted evidence that posed an imminent and apparent threat of harm to Caleb Collins. And it says in violation of an Alabama statute. Now we will pull up criminally negligent homicide. Yeah, this is hard, y'all. I'm sorry. I feel it's important though, so that you know how awful this person is, and this boy, like kind of like with Madeline, we know we didn't know this child until after this horrible thing happened. But if you hear the story, you can keep him in your prayers. You can think about the family that did love him. His name will be known, and we can try to do what we can to make sure this woman stays in jail by writing the state senator and things like that. There's things we can do if we know the case. This is the criminally negligent homicide document. It says criminally negligent homicide. On or about December 8, 2024, Wendy caused the death of Riley Collins by criminal negligence, to wit, failed to ensure the safety of Riley Collins, 2 years old, by use of child restraint within a motor vehicle that operated on a federal, state, and or local public roadway. During the course of traveling as a passenger on December 8, 2024, Riley Collins sustained injuries that resulted in her death after the vehicle she was in was involved in a crash. And then the last one of this case is going to be abuse of a corpse. I've got lots of documents today, so this is going to be it for this case after I read this to you guys. corpse abuse on or about or between September and October of 2024. The abuse the corpse of Caleb Collins by knowingly treating the corpse in a way that outraged ordinary family sensibilities. To wit, Wendy stated that upon the death of Caleb Collins, his body was placed into a bag and stored in an outside storage building for a brief period prior to the final disposal at an unknown location, in violation of the section of the legislator of the state of Alabama against the peace and dignity of the state of Alabama. So, you saw that beautiful little baby. Please keep him in your prayers and thoughts, and we need to make sure that this evil woman stays in jail and serves her time for what she did to him. I will be following this case. I'm going to pull up YouTube real quick just to show you a picture of him real quick, and I want to show you the reason that we're talking about Delphi today. I pulled these documents. Hio and I pulled these documents last night, and we're going to make it kind of fun by reading a transcript and having, trying to read different parts with enthusiasm or whatever it's supposed to be when we're reading the part. You might have heard these documents, you might not. It's new to me. I found it interesting, so I figured I would share it with you guys. So real quick, I'm going to show you Caleb Collins and a picture of his sorry ass mama, and then we'll talk about why we're talking about Delphi. Again, the DNA bombshell, I have that saved here for the West Memphis 3. It just talks about that they've got a new way to test DNA, and that's what they're going to do. Hey, Trixie. Yeah, Zan, I agree. Zan said, I'm sorry, but being stored in a bag is almost a relief after hearing the horror he went through. And as sad as that sounds, I agree. Okay. I'm not going to play it all again, but oh my gosh. Wanted to show you his picture. So that's Caleb Collins. That's the little boy that we were just talking about. I mean,
A 1-year-old boy is dead.
New court records released today.
Hold on. I just can't understand how you could do that. I mean, hanging from a rope aloft with bruising present and all of that. And as sad as it sounds, like Zan said, I mean, being stored in a bag at this point is better. At least he's not suffering anymore, Poor child. I'm letting it play just because it's a minute long. I wanted to show you this crazy biatch's picture. Have y'all seen the defense interview recently did on Defense Diaries as well as Fox? I have not. Need some Z's.
Shaboogies, that is amazing.
Yes, we are. That's his sorry ass mama. Shaboogies said, I've decided to make a first video about Richard and Delphi to start my channel to start focusing on him. That's awesome. I'm super happy for you. I'll definitely come check you out and subscribe. Hey, Vicky Dixon said, I just wanted to say, AS, you are one of the hardest workers on YouTube. Oh, thank you. Hio works super hard as well. And thank you, Hio and Aftermath, for coming up. So, let me show you why we're going to talk about Delphi real quick. Keep that ugly biatch's face in mind. I will link this in my description box. I also need to link Hio. I did not have time. I had to go to the store and stuff this morning.
You worry too much.
Actually, yeah. Abellis told me about this, and that's when I was like, okay, we definitely need to talk about that. So, Lawyer Lee tonight, this post says, Friday night's live stream is an absolute can't miss. I sit down for a no-holds-barred interview of Richard Allen's defense attorneys. I'll be asking the burning questions we've all been wondering about. See you at 7 p.m. Eastern, Friday, July 10th. So that's going to be tonight. She's going to be talking to the attorneys. So make sure you guys check that out. Okay, so we're going to pull up this document where I'm going to try to keep the pages flipping so you guys can keep in order, know where we're at, unless you're going to read. Are you reading yours off the screen, or are you?
I can. If you want me to put it up, I could do it that way. It doesn't matter. Would that be easier, or do you have video you wanted to play?
Oh yeah, I was going to play. Yeah, I was able to find a few videos, but nothing real long.
Okay,
I could
you
play
play
them
whatever
over.
you want.
Let's see. I don't know how to. Trying to think if I could play them over and over again and they would mute.
If
But
you
I'll
loop,
just mute 'em.
yeah, maybe.
I'll just mute them. I'm gonna start at the beginning of this playlist and just let them play, and then I'll play different ones.
Aftermath, are you here?
I think so.
Okay. Okay, I have these two. They're not very long, but hold on, sorry. I know you can't see it now because it just got real big.
Hi, Abellis. Hi, Anders.
Hey, Abellis.
Anders, that's Mr. Firelight. That's my husband.
Her lovely hubby.
Yeah, that's what she says, but she's Mrs. Aftermath.
That's so sweet. All right, I'm gonna let this play for a minute. I've got to go use the restroom real quick, so I will be right back. You guys can talk, or if you find any better videos you can pull up, let me know. I will be right back. I'm so sorry.
Take your time.
Hi, Boogies.
What is she playing? Oh.
Okay, so sorry about
Trixie.
I gotta
Aw.
turn him
Okay,
down a little
so-
bit. He's blowing my earphones out here.
Am I too loud for everybody?
I
Do I need to turn myself down?
I don't know how to turn him down. Maybe you can.
I got him a little bit. Yeah, let's see. Mr. Hio. Okay, now try back.
Am I too loud still?
Nope, just right.
Okay. So I do have the 17-page or 18-page document basically saying why Judge Gull is just not an accurate person to represent. We will read that afterwards. What we're going to read right now is going to be this is a transcript of basically an in-chambers meeting that happened the day that, I don't know if you guys remember, and I couldn't find the video clip, but Judge Gull comes out and basically tells Brad and Rozzi that they're not allowed to be on the case anymore, which was later overturned by the Supreme Court. Well, before that happened and what we saw on TV from the media, that day of him basically getting mad and saying, you know, you can't fire me off the case if I'm willing to represent him pro bono for no money at all. You can't do that. That's not even legal. And he does end up getting it overturned by the state Supreme Court. And then he comes out and he's like, you journalists need the journalist. So this is what happens directly before all that in her chambers. Okay. So I'm going to be reading for the for the judge, and so we might have to do some like separate parts, but I will let you know. Basically, I'll let you know them, and yeah, etc., etc. The video is not supposed to have sound. It's just going to kind of be on the screen, so you guys have something to look at and think about Judge Gull while we're reading this. All right. So, you guys can start, whoever's starting.
I can't hear you. You're muted, I think.
Me? Oh,
no, I
Aftermath?
was talking to him. Yeah, Aftermath.
No, am I there?
Yep, you're there. Okay.
Wait a second. I was just oh, maybe not. All right, it's fine. Okay. McClelland. McClelland. Judge, I wanted to do some introductions. I finally got an approval for our council to hire a paid attorney to help me. So,
Okay.
small town local government. So this is Jim Letro. He's retired prosecutor from Grant County. He's decided or agreed to come on board. He signed on the oath to my office.
Okay, have a seat. Okay.
And all that, I'm going to handle a written appearance
Nice to meet you, Judge.
next week.
Nice to meet you, Jim. Okay.
Or maybe tomorrow if I have time. Judge, if I get it done.
Okay.
But he will be entered in, and we're trying to get him up to speed.
Okay, well, good.
Well, I'm the one that kind of asked to huddle up. So if you want me to lead or if you want me to say some things, I'm okay with whatever approach you want to take here.
Go ahead.
Well, I think
I've got got our portable FTR going just so that we've.
I'm trying not to. I'm sorry, my phone started ringing. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Got a record.
You know, obviously, I'm happy to hear that court's gonna make some decisions on the pending pleadings today.
Mm-hmm.
I assume. Rude. I assume Andy feels the same way. It's time to kind of get some closure, if you will, with regard to those items so that we can move forward. It's probably obvious that the tension from our side is coming, from the words disqualification that were murmured in the phone conference that we had a couple of weeks ago. I'm assuming you understand how that kind of raises the intensity level of the circumstances. And I guess if I have a concern today, it's that, we're going to go out on the kind of in the public, so to speak, in the courtroom on the record and have a discussion about an ongoing investigation. And that's what I kind of gathered from the email. I think you invited Nick to talk about that if he wanted to.
Okay, I wanted to say real quick, I'm reading for Judge Gull. Hio is reading for Mr. Rozzi, and Aftermath is reading for Mr. McClelland right now. So when you hear Hio speak, that's Mr. Rozzi. Aftermath's Mr. McClelland, and then I'm the court. The court says, mm-hmm.
And, it makes me a little uncomfortable because I don't know. First of all, there are no pleadings that are pending, whether they're motions to disqualify or contempt citations or whatever that might be. Sorry. It was echoing.
Oh, you're good.
Or whatever that might be. That really, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to start that sentence again. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
It makes me a little uncomfortable because I don't know. First of all, there are no pleadings that are pending, whether they're motions to disqualify or contempt citations or whatever they might be, that really frame any of the issues. And I have no problem. I mean, I don't have any problem talking about this stuff privately on the record in a ex parte type confidential hearing. I just think it's difficult to expect that there will be any kind of structure to the idea of, hey, there's an ongoing investigation and just tell us what's going on. And I don't know that it has any relevance to what we're really trying to accomplish today. I also don't know why Nick would want to talk about an ongoing investigation in public, knowing that in itself could be a little damaging to their circumstances. And so we're lawyers. We're used to having issues framed. We're used to having an opportunity to prepare. And I don't have anything to hide. And I know he doesn't have anything to hide. You've maybe gathered that we've cooperated. We ran into the state's police post, our respective posts, if you will. And I had somebody advise me of my rights, and I waived those. And I gave a formal statement. He did the same. I'm not sure that they're going to benefit or that this will be productive to just open floor this. And that's my biggest concern today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of the due process side. I'm not really sure what will happen, but I just don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, and I would like the opportunity to know what's going to happen. and prepare for their claiming or whatever before it happens. And I don't feel like, I don't want to say ambush, but it's hard to know for me what to do when I don't know what's happening. There's not a pleading we can respond to, things like that. So, you had indicated that, when Nick said, I don't know if he said the word disqualification, but
Oh, he did.
was it that word?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I didn't know if he just said it in a more generic way.
Mm-hmm.
And your response was, I'm leaning in that direction or something along those lines.
Uh-huh.
And so that's a cause of concern. I mean, we're still wanting to try this case in January, and I'm willing to, we have made changes at my office that will prevent this from ever happening again, and we can take directives from the court. We can, we're locking down every single thing on Delphi. It's a dedicated room. We put locks on our conference room or the war room where this guy went. My friend went in and did this without my knowledge, and no document, whether it's benign or something super, like a crime scene photo, is ever going to be left alone for a single solitary second ever again. So, I'm hoping that can be something that the court, can say, all right, that's fine. And then let's go on with the trial. But I'll shut up now.
Anything, Nick?
Judge, I guess my plan today was to give the court a summary of investigation. I've got witnesses here and exhibits to present that go toward the investigation. I'm more than happy to hand those over to the defense. I know it may harm the investigation, but I think it would be important that the court hear those things. I guess the heart of it, investigation, I think it's important. I think the importance of you hearing it is outweighed by that. And so I have those things. I'm concerned that the leak is not just a one-time leak. The evidence that we have shows it is an ongoing leak. However, it's being done and it's just what's next. I have an issue. What's next? I mean, I spent the past 17 days investigating this night and the day when I should have been focused on preparing for trial. And when I say night and day, I mean phone calls at 2 a.m., 3:30 a.m., night and day. And so that's where I'm at, Judge. Again, I'm an officer of the court. I'm reporting to the court what I know, and that's kind of where I see my role.
Okay.
This is starting to scream due process to me. I haven't seen any of these exhibits, and I don't know really, frankly, I don't know anything about any of this. And I'm distancing myself from Mr. Baldwin. I'm just saying I have no connection with any of these people, okay? And the idea that somehow the prosecutor is going to get to roll out a bunch of statements and exhibits and, testimony without us having any forewarning or any idea, any way of scrutinizing that seems a little outside the boundaries of due process to me. Plus, again, I get back to what is the relevance to what is going on in this case. Are we going to use an open courtroom to air an ancillary matter? It's not really connected in any way at this point to the proceedings that are ongoing, whether it's the Franks issue or anything of that nature. And I will tell you this, and I am prepared to show the court this. I would rather do it in private. This problem has been a problem from the very beginning. I have 10 pages of a deposition transcript in this file from my deposition, our deposition that I took of Trooper Holman in this case, and in that deposition, he talks openly about how there were crime scene links from the very beginning. I believe that's supposed to be crime scene leaks from the very beginning. Unequivocal crime scene leaks, and that as soon as this crime occurred, they were investigating information that had been released because they were lay people that were part of the search party, and the implication is, and I've got the transcript, is that those people that found those girls started to essentially disseminate or distribute information, and law enforcement essentially tried to catch up with them, but it was really too late, as you might expect. Once it gets in the hands of the public, it's too late. So he told us that almost volunteered that information to me in that deposition. The second concern I have is this. I think I shared with the court just an example a week or two ago. Somebody sends me a court TV, bit, and I can assure you I've never watched one of those bits on this case. I don't I don't know I don't know even know if I've ever really watched court TV. Maybe back when Simpson was ongoing, I don't know. And in that bit, Barbara McDonald is talking. Two different occasions she mentioned how she's getting information from investigators on the ground that were at the crime scene. Now, we can all draw implications about that, but most importantly, it was corroborated by the fact that she was holding in her hand documents that I know to be directly related to the Purdue report. I mean, I saw the pictures. I know where those come from. And if the point here is, I'm going to say this maybe a little loosely, but forgive me. I don't care. I don't care that all this stuff is out there because it's been out there for 5 or 6 years. I don't have time. He doesn't have time. He doesn't have time to sit and try to marshal all of this stuff while this case is ongoing because there's no end to it. But the point is the court needs to have some context that this is nothing new. I lost sleep over the fact that there's a man who's dead that I don't even know. And frankly, Andy doesn't know. And it's tragic. I don't know what life circumstances he had or what surrounded this, but none of that information has been shared with us. But at the end of the day, what's going on out in the cyber world and in the public, as you might expect, in a case of this magnitude that's been publicized for 6 years, was beyond our control before we even got involved.
There's even a guy in Florida who says the guy in Texas who leaked all this stuff has received from a disgruntled Carroll County employee a whole file filled with stuff and photos included. And I haven't seen it. I haven't even seen the photo that were leaked. I don't know what they are or, I mean, if this could be set for formal hearing in the future where we have a chance to do it the right way, then that's one thing. But, to go in there and we don't have any counter way to counteract anything. If I know what it is, I can, okay, I know what that is, or I don't know what that is. And it's, and in the meantime, we can, I don't know. Honestly, this is the lowest point of my career right now because somebody did what they did to me. And that has nothing to do with the Richard Allen.
It certainly does not.
Richard Allen needs to have counsel there, so I just don't want to go in there and not be able to fight back with it. With evidence or witnesses that we have to counteract whatever they claim that they have. So,
okay. Here are my thoughts in no particular order. I don't know how many folks are out there. I certainly don't wish to air publicly to the world the concerns that I have about this matter. My intent in having this hearing was to go through some of the pleadings that we have not yet decided. So I was going to start with reminding everybody about the decorum order, reminding everybody that we're here to shut up, etc. There have been reports to my sheriff about disruptive people, and I will remind people if they are disruptive, they will be removed. And my sheriff is fully prepared to execute arrest if necessary, because I know we've seen in our other hearings, people have been disruptive and hateful. So under the rules, under the conus of judicial conduct, I'm required to advise people within the room that the media is here and they are filming. They're doing a pool coverage, so there's only 2 cameras in the courtroom, and everybody's going to get coverage from that. And then I want to talk about the pleadings. Defendant filed a verified motion for immediate transfer of custody. The state filed its response. The motion, again, has a lot of inaccuracies and some speculation, and it has been refuted ably, I think, by the affidavits that have been submitted by the state, and I'm going to deny the motion. The defendant then filed a motion for broadcasting order. The state filed its response. Your motion is overboard, and it's got a lot of irrelevant verbiage in it, and I'm required to consider individual requests for hearings, so I will. If the media wishes to have an individual request submitted, they know fully well how to do that, and I've provided to counsel all those requests that I've gotten so far from this hearing. So if you want to file them for particular hearings, you're certainly welcome to do that. But the media is all over this, and they know how to do this.
Yeah, I was just trying to understand. Are you suggesting that you're going to determine that on a case-by-case basis or a hearing-by-hearing basis?
Hearing by hearing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood that.
The state filed its motion for leave of court to subpoena third-party records. I think that was directed, again, to DOC. I clearly can't grant that. I'm going to grant the defendant's motion to quash, but if you continue to raise his medical and mental health pleadings, that's fair game then for that to be provided to the state. You have also filed, Mr. McLeland, a motion for future pleadings and filings to be sealed prior to being released to the public. I've not gotten a response from the defense.
Can I speak on that?
Sure.
I think it's important to note that, so we've had this discussion come up before, and there was basically, we decided, okay, we're done sealing stuff. We're going to make it public. Before we filed the Frank's brief, I had a long conversation with the court reporter, Karen Allen, over in Delphi, because I wasn't sure about Allen or Roller. I always want to call her Karen. Karen Allen, because I wasn't sure about the mechanics of how all of this stuff was moving from Delphi to your office. And I know what you had set up. I know that you had set up some kind of a website or something that people could access. I was under the understanding, and speaking with Miss Allen, I'm not blaming her for anything, but that when we file these things, they were going from them and they were hitting a button. We were filing with Carroll County, they were hitting enter and they were sending it to you, and you were essentially filtering this stuff, or at least you were seeing it before it became public?
Nope.
And so that's in talking with her, that's the way I understood the mechanics, which I think is what happened to a pleading the other day. From what I understand, we filed something and you either put it in a queue. I think anyway, I tried to do some homework on that, and that's what I
was part of one of those conversations, and that's what she said.
So does this need a hearing? I'm happy to have a hearing on that. I don't have a problem with that.
Well, I guess I'm just telling you for context. That's what I
mean, could there be a happy medium of we file it confidentially and then so the judge then gets a chance to review it first? Because that's what we thought was going on anyways. But if that's not what's going on.
No, it's being filed confidentially if you mark it as such.
I know. Yeah, I know that now.
I had my staff mark the memorandum confidential after it had been filed and disseminated to the public because the actual warrant was in there, and that's covered under a miscellaneous cause number. I'm happy to have a hearing.
Well, what is your ruling? I guess to make sure I understand. I don't want to fight about something that we don't need to argue about.
I haven't ruled on that.
Okay.
You haven't filed a response on that.
Yeah.
My question is, do we need a hearing on that, or do you wish to file a response? The Frank's motion clearly needs a ruling, and I'm working on that. The motion and exhibits are about 1,500 pages, and there are hours and hours and hours of interviews that have been made available. That staff has now clearly... Okay, hold on. That staff has now cleaned to make sure they're okay. We've already talked about that. And then, that brings us to my concerns that I raised with all of you on our phone call. And I write everything out, and this is what I intend to say in open court. I have concerns regarding the defense team and the totality of the circumstances surrounding your representation of Mr. Allen candidly. My concerns began at our hearing on November 22nd of last year. Mr. McLeland filed a motion for a gag order, and we're in chambers, and you assured me, gentlemen, we do not want media in our lives. We will not try this case in the media. And less than 2 weeks later, you issued an undated press release that contained an awful lot of information that would not normally be revealed. I don't know. I think you knew, or should have known, those were potentially volatile of Rule 3.6 of the Rules of Professional Responsibility. But it is that press release that prompted me to issue the order December 2nd, granting the gag order until further hearing. April 18th of this year, you filed a notice tort to claim against the Department of Corrections. You stated in that notice that it was your intent to pursue our client's claims against you. The full amount of damages sought on behalf of my client is unknown. I don't know how you could do that in representing Mr. Allen in a criminal matter and then launch off into a civil matter. I think that's inappropriate. May of this year, we were notified by the state of the Brandon Woodhouse arrest and the subsequent discovery of your work product. And I think it was an outline that you created for yourselves with the discovery. It was pretty detailed. I don't know if that's the right word. That apparently happened December of last year, and that was not revealed to anybody, not shared with the court. It wasn't shared with you, although apparently you guys knew about what was going on.
He didn't know.
You knew.
I did know.
So then Mr. Woodhouse gets arrested, and here we are, grossly negligent to email that to the wrong Brad. Your proceedings on the safekeeping order contain inaccuracies and falsehoods. That was proven in the hearing we conducted in June. The evidence presented by the state clearly demonstrated the falsity of your claims, and that was very troubling to me. And then the last couple of weeks that we've been dealing with, the state provided your discovery that has been severely compromised. And now we have an ongoing investigation. I'm not going to call it a criminal investigation. I don't know what it is, but it's clearly being investigated by the state of Indiana. Everyone involved has sought counsel, including you, Mr. Baldwin. You've had an attorney enter written appearance this morning. I don't want to get into the investigation candidly. You are the constitutional authority of the state of Indiana. If you choose to pursue it, that is up to you. If you choose to abandon it, that is clearly up to you. I'm glad to hear that you have cooperated, but Mr. Baldwin's attorney has clearly shared. I don't know if you've seen his pleading.
I saw it, Judge. Yes, I got it kind of late. He emailed us, and then
Okay.
I saw that was filed on the way here.
Well, yeah. So he's clearly shared it in his pleading down to the fact that an individual had committed suicide. He included the fact that you left materials all over the conference room table, accessible to anyone. And this is a friend of yours who apparently you have consulted with on this case. So again, it's up to you if you wish to pursue that. I'm looking at the totality of the circumstances. You know, when I look at the suppression, the case law requires me to look at the totality of the circumstances, and that's what I'm doing. And it pains me to say this, but the totality of those circumstances demonstrate gross negligence and incompetence on the part of the defense team. I am unsatisfied with your representation of Mr. Allen. I'm gravely concerned about his rights to have competent, non-negligent representation. He currently doesn't have that right now, because what you've demonstrated is negligence and incompetence. Now, I'm sharing my thoughts with you privately. I don't want to say this in open court. I would encourage you to talk privately about what you wish to do. I don't want this coming out, and it's not where it needs to be with this case, but I will. But you don't know that. You have just been made aware of my concerns and where I'm landing. So if you wish to have a private conversation, I would encourage you to do that. I don't believe your client is here yet. No, he's not. Clearly, you'll need to speak with him as well, so.
I'm not good at reading between the lines.
You're a lawyer. That's what you do for a living.
When you say have a private conversation, are you talking the four of us, or?
I'm talking about you. I'm not accusing the state of gross incompetence and negligence. I'm finding gross incompetence and negligence with you.
So, okay, so?
Forgive me. Go ahead.
No.
I mean, obviously, the reading the tea leaves here, what you're giving us.
Thank you.
Oh, Lordy. I mean, obviously, reading the tea leaves here, what you're giving us a chance to do is bow out gracefully, if you will, if that's the right term. Is there a scenario where the court would accept if I stayed in the case? I mean, I'm a team player, and I'm not the kind of guy that just bail out on somebody just for the sake of doing it. But I think it's obvious that, you know, he could speak differently, but I'm not as connected to some of, you know, this most recent circumstances as he is. Mr. Allen is in a situation where he's going to have counsel that's, if he has new counsel, it's going to take them a year to get up to speed with the depth of information that continues to come in. And so I think that his Sixth Amendment rights matter. And, you know, I'm probably the one that can at least move this thing forward with some sense of judicial economy. I don't like it, and that's not what I intended to do when I came in here today, but that would be kind of worst case scenario on our side, you know, I guess. And so is that an option that the court would entertain?
No.
So basically what you're saying is you guys either quit on your own accord or you make me fire you. That's it?
No, I'm saying to you that this is what I plan to say in court on the record when we convene at 2:00.
Well, is this culmination of that you're removing us from the case?
I will, based on what I've just shared with you.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure
and I'm giving you the opportunity to have a conversation, which, how do you want that to go? I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this, but I will if I have to.
Should we bow out gracefully, or as Brad says, how would we even have a hearing? How would that go? Because if we're out of this case, then
you're going to go ahead and rule on a bunch of stuff without lawyers in the room?
No, I would not do that. If you decide that your best course of action is to file a motion to withdraw, you can do that today, and I'll send Mr. Allen back to the DOC after you've had a chance to speak with him.
would that happen before the hearing or after the hearing?
Your motion to withdraw would happen before the hearing.
Okay, that's what I wanted. Yeah.
Yeah, because he has rights, and I don't want those rights compromised by having a hearing with him not having counsel. I assume if you choose to withdraw, that his financial situation hasn't changed and he would still be entitled to court-appointed counsel. I can't imagine that he has the ability at this point to hire counsel. I don't know that.
Brad and I need to go talk.
Yes, you do. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yep. Thank you, Judge.
Off the record.
Thank you, Jody. And then the court reporter says, "You're welcome." And the court says, "Okay, yes." Now we're back in, I suppose.
No, off the record.
Okay.
Oh, off the record, on the record. Off record, on record.
Okay, and then the court says, "Thank you, Jody." And the court reporter says, "You're welcome." And the court says, "Okay, yes."
All right. So obviously we're kind of trying to figure out how to address this issue with very short notice. Very little notice. The first thing we did is really to talk to the client.
Mm-hmm.
Our client is a big part of this, the biggest part of this, and he has communicated to us that he does not want us to withdraw from the case. He wants us to continue with his representation. He understands, I think, that he's not the gatekeeper, or he doesn't have the authority to really force the court to do that. He would like to say that on the record. We asked him if that's what he wanted to do. He suggested maybe he would do it in chambers. It seems a little bit of a difficult position to put a man who's accused but not been found guilty, put him in a courtroom and have him, have to speak in the circumstance within 15-minute notice. Andy and I'm going to speak for myself. I'll let him speak for himself. I'm going to file a motion to withdraw. I don't want to do it, but I don't think that I have a choice at this point. The options I've been given without any notice by the court really are either I withdraw or I'm going to be publicly shamed, and that's the way I see this. And I think that public shaming is there's not only a professional element to that, I think there's a personal aspect to that too. But when the media is teed up like this, and we show up here today with the court having told us that we were going to conduct some business, that somehow bleeds over into a forced resignation or whatever you want, however you characterize this, that, I don't feel like I have any other choice professionally. I have a life beyond this courtroom and beyond this case, and I have a family too, and I have a law practice. But I think we been given some notice of what we were actually, if this would have been framed in a pleading format or some formal disciplinary claim, which there's a process for that in our business, then we could have come in here today with an opportunity to refute some of those things that you had clearly had, thought through and prepared before we got here. And we didn't have an opportunity. And it's the idea that I'm going to have to go in here in an open courtroom and essentially defend myself against claims that I didn't agree with without any notice and without any opportunity, I think is unfair. But I also have some common sense, and me going in there, standing my ground because my client wants me to, is just going to make things worse for him. And so I'm going to withdraw my appearance. I'm going to walk out here. I'm going to go down to my car. I'm going to call my staff and have them prepare a motion, and I'm going to withdraw my appearance. But I'm doing it because I don't think I have any other choice professionally, not because I want to, and not because my client wants me to. And I respect the court has an opinion. But we're professionals and we can disagree.
Of course.
And, I'm extremely, I'd say frustrated probably a soft word, with the idea that we showed up today without any real opportunity to prepare for any of this. And I just think it's improper. And that's where I am at this. And that's my position.
Well, I think we talked about it. When you asked for a disqualification and I indicated on our phone conversation, I'm inclined to do that.
It was a phone conversation that was not on the record, and then some follow-up emails.
True.
That's an informality to that.
True.
And you also said that you hadn't even done any research and you hadn't, had time to talk to your senior judge and all these other things. And he hasn't filed a pleading with the court either.
No, I'm doing this on my own motion.
And I'm a lawyer who practices in lots of courtrooms, and I've been through some disqualification actions. In 20 years, I've never had a disciplinary complaint in my life, and that's been confirmed, if you will. But I've seen lawyers disqualified, and there is a process for that, and it's not this, with all due respect, where you walk into somebody's office, a judge's office, and they read a prepared statement to you, and essentially that statement is an indictment on my professional, activities, and then you're handed essentially a sheet of paper with with the two options, and one of them is, I'm going to go out here and shame you, or you can quit. You can understand how upset this would make any lawyer. And I just think I don't think it's the right way to handle this from a due process standpoint. So I have no choice but to, withdraw my appearance, because I'm not going to go in there and take a public shaming without having any notice of it. That's where I'm at with it.
I'm the same, withdrawing. I mirror what he said. I mean, I do appreciate giving us the advance notice if there is some appreciation for that. I do appreciate that. But beyond that, I wanted to take this, and finish it out. I'm stunned. I don't know what to say, or I'll just say I'm moving to withdraw orally.
Okay.
Is the court going to generate some further instructions on what to do with all of this discovery that we have? And
I already have.
All of this information, and
there's an order. I granted the state's protective order on discovery.
No, I'm talking about my possession of all of this information. Am I to take it out to the trash can? Am I supposed to wait for another attorney? Is the court going to give us some guidance on how to move all of this information from one law office?
I did.
To another?
When I granted the state's protective order, I think it's the last paragraph of that protective order directs you to return it all to the state of Indiana. All the copies, all of the whatever you gave them, that they are required under that order to return to you.
At the conclusion of the case.
Or your representation.
I know what order you're talking about. I read the order before I came today.
Okay.
So we're supposed to just take everything back and give it to the state and then just retain our work product until somebody asks us for it?
Your work product is your work product. I mean, I would hope that you would share that with the successor counsel. I would hope that you would help successor counsel just with the transfer of all the information, because that's in your client's best interest to do that. But that's entirely up to you. That's your work product that you have developed. I mean, clearly the discovery is required to go back to the state.
Okay. Thank you. What do you want to do with Mr. Allen?
I can transport him back to the Department of Corrections.
Do you want to make a record of this? I mean, I think it's appropriate for the court to let him speak into the record his thoughts, unless the court just accepts that as notice that those are his opinions.
Well, you wouldn't lie to me about that.
I would not lie to you about anything.
So, of course, that's your representation. That's what he would say if he were brought in here. I can't imagine the DOC being comfortable bringing him into my office. I would not be comfortable having him in my office.
Would the court also be inclined to mark as an exhibit the prepared statement so that it's part of the record?
I have the record rolling.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to leave, I guess. And you're going to, how is this? You're just going to get up on the bench and say...
I will just indicate to Mr. McLeland going to be in there with Mr. Luttrell, and I'll say we've had a turn of events and defense counsel is withdrawing, and that's all I'm going to say.
Can you wait for us to get out of here?
Of course. And we can have you, I don't know where you're parked at, we can have a hearing set for October 31st that I'd like to keep as a trial setting and appointment of new counsel. And if you can get things together by that date to return to Mr. McLeland, that would be good. Otherwise, if, with your permission, I will give successor counsel to your contact information.
Okay.
Okay.
Where are you parked?
Nice to meet you. Sorry to...
That was Mr. Luttrell.
just right out there in the front of the building. I mean, there's a parking lot. There's a little parking lot right in front of the building. I don't know what.
Everybody's in the courtroom, so I don't think that there's anybody out in the hallways.
I'm going to go get my staff member. I'm going to have her. I don't need any, rendezvous at some point and try to get the stuff back.
Okay, that's fine. Between Steve and I and Sarah and you,
Okay,
we will get it all.
that's fine.
Well, done. That's either Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This concludes the proceedings.
Yep. And then this concludes the proceedings had in camera on October 19th, 2023 in this call. Sorry, Aftermath. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're fine. I just said,
Okay. Real quick, Eek gifted 10 memberships. So if you guys were gifted a membership from Eek, please tell her thank you. And I'll play our clip real quick. That was super sweet of you, Eek. Thank you so much. Sorry about that, y'all. I was trying to pull up the hold on. I was trying to pull up where that happened on the like the video camera footage of what happened directly after that conversation we just read to you. I found this so far. This might be it. It was from about a year ago. Or this would be, oh my gosh. Okay, stop. This might be, this says attorneys for Richard Allen call for judge's removal. And I'm going to read that next. Real quick, Criminal Network is in here and he does a lot of stuff on Delphi. I can work on trying to grab his link while I'm in here while we're watching this video, but it's kind of short. So if I'm not able to grab it, I will put it in the description box. He has a lot of stuff on Delphi. We watched some of his documentaries he did. They were really good. And so guys, make sure you check him out. Aftermath, thank you so much. You were awesome. Thank you so much for doing that. Thank you for helping with that. I hope y'all enjoyed that. We thought we'd have a little bit of fun with that. And I think it's interesting to hear it, especially when you got other people to talk and say the parts. I think it was really cool. I enjoyed it. Shabugi said, Criminal Network is a legend. Fox 59 had Baldwin and the female on yesterday. Okay, I'll look for that, Melas. Maybe we can watch it real quick after this, and I'll find that document while we watch this. This happened a year ago, and it's talking about they're calling for her removal, and I'll pull up what we had yesterday.
Thanks for inviting us in. It's now 6 o'clock, and we begin tonight with breaking news. A defense attorney in the Delphi murders case is now calling for the judge to step down. The attorney says he'll continue defending the man who is charged tonight with killing Abby Williams and Libby German. Our Emily Longnecker has been going through the new court documents since we got them just a few hours ago. So what do all these developments mean?
Well, Scott, they mean that one of Richard Allen's attorneys, Bradley Rozzi, is putting up a fight when it comes to the judge's order that both of Allen's lawyers should withdraw. And not only that, Rozzi says it's time for Special Judge Francis Gull to step down.
Okay, so this was kind of after what I just read to you that day where she basically forced them to step down. This is right after that, and I do have this document. I'm going to pull it up, and I'll read through it with you guys.
It was an announcement no one saw coming, especially Richard Allen's defense team.
Earlier this afternoon, the defense attorneys have withdrawn their representation of Mr. Allen.
Judge Francis Gull announcing Andrew Baldwin and Bradley Rozzi were quitting the case.
If I say so, I say so myself, you sounded just like her.
Oh, really? I was trying to be aggressive.
You did a wonderful job.
Oh, thank you. You guys did a really good job too. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna have
to go back and read the comments because I'm not sure if they were enjoying it or if they were just like, oh shit it.
No, they liked it. I was reading some of them when I didn't have to speak. So that right there, what she just said was basically what happened directly after what we just read to you. So what we just read to you happened, and then she comes out and says this.
Earlier this afternoon, the defense attorneys have withdrawn their representation of Mr. Allen.
Judge Francis Gull announcing Andrew Baldwin and Bradley Rozzi were quitting the case. But it's what attorney Rozzi claims happened in the judge's chambers just before that hearing that led him to demand a new judge. In a new court filing, Rozzi claims Judge Gull, quote, strong-armed attorneys Rozzi and Baldwin with a prepared statement that listed problems she had with them. Rozzi says the judge threatened to read that statement in court if they, quote, resisted her efforts to remove them from the defense. Rozzi called the alleged move a, quote, premeditated ambush, where he and attorney Baldwin were given two, quote, terrible options: quit or be shamed in public before being disqualified from representing Mr. Allen. Rozzi also filed another document asking for a recording and transcript of how it all went down in Judge Gull's chamber.
And that's what we just read. Hey, Angela.
In his request for Gull to be removed as the judge in the case, Rozzi says a week before the October 19th hearing, Judge Gull instructed the defense to, quote, cease work on Mr. Allen's case without explaining why. Rozzi says that request interfered with the attorney-client relationship and denied Allen timely, effective representation.
And it appears that claim that Judge Gull ordered the attorneys to stop working came around the same time state police were investigating an evidence leak from Baldwin's office. The judge said she accepted Baldwin's verbal resignation last week. We reached out to the court administrator for comment on Rozzi's claims. Judge Gull has not commented, which is expected, especially since she issued a gag order in the case.
So isn't there another court hearing next Tuesday?
Well, at the moment, yes. And that's when the judge has said new attorneys for Allen will appear. Rozzi has asked for that hearing to be put off until a later date.
All right, we'll be covering.
All right, so that has happened. I'm going to try to see. I should have this document. Oh, I don't. Okay, hold on. I'll share this with you real quick so you have something to look at. But I'm going to pull this up real quick from my emails. This will probably be, after I read this to you guys, that's probably going to be all I have time for today, because I do have to do some. I'm supposed to do something at 4 o'clock, which is in about 40 minutes. Hold on just a minute. I think I sent it to myself. Waiting for my Gmail to load. Oh, yeah. Okay, so it's going to be the realtor's response. Okay. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to read it from documents I have in my hand because, as you could tell just now, when I read like that compared to how I read on the screen, it's a lot better. So this is basically that document calling for the judge to be removed. It's the realtor's response to Attorney General's objections. We got a table of contents. Inspector BS is sniffing out the BS. Okay, let me make sure y'all can see all of it. All right, the table of contents says this case presents the paradigm situation of writ of mandus. Respondent served the attorney-client relationship, quote, on her own motion over Rick's objection. Respondent had an absolute duty to refrain from severing the attorney-client relationship, and not a single Indiana case has tolerated similar behavior from a trial judge. C says respondent obstructed the attorney-client privilege relationship for reasons totally unconnected to the Sixth Amendment. D says Rick clearly and repeatedly asked respondent to refrain from severing the attorney-client relationship, but she acted anyway. E says respondent delayed the efficient administration of justice. F says the remedy on appeal is non-existent. Only an original action can achieve a speedy trial with attorneys Rozzi and Baldwin at the helm. And then 2 says, given a respondent's comments regarding the trial counsel's performance and credibility, she cannot oversee a trial where they represent Rick. Okay. So We're going to start with a summary. And I'm bringing all these up because, like I said, Lawyer Lee is going to interview Rozzi and Baldwin and them this evening. I'm going to be there, and I hope to see y'all there. And after today's live, I will put in the description box Criminal Network's link, the link to Lawyer Lee, so you guys can be there this evening, and Hio's link as well. So I'm going to remove Professor just so I can read through and you guys can see everything. Because, Lord, to sniff out the BS in this case, in my humble opinion, it would just, his blood pressure would be through the roof. Poor thing would be going into anxiety attacks. That poor Professor BS would be going through some things. Real quick. Courtney said, I don't think he did it. I don't live far from Delphi, and a lot of people do not think he did it. That's good to hear. I also had a way that you could contact him, and I'll try to make sure that's in the description box as well. Eek said, I think he was innocent, but anytime I say anything out loud, the opposite happens. Girl, I noticed the same thing happens to me too. Oh, I will see you there, BB, says Shaboogies. And Rachel said, I can't believe the higher court didn't think all this wouldn't affect the trial. Gull has a grudge for sure. She absolutely did. Anders said, I like Lawyer Lee. I haven't watched much of her stuff, but Abellis, the lovely Abellis, told me that she was doing that tonight. And I was like, oh, we need to talk about Delphi then. Okay. This state's summary. This writ is the only remedy. Any trial without Baldwin and Rozzi, Rick's counsel of choice, would be merely for show. Only 2 lawyers can be ready for a speedy trial and carry out Rick's well-developed trial strategy, and only 1 court can grant that relief, this court. If action is not taken now, Rick's trial will be delayed longer and even more public resources will be spent. But more importantly, the public's trust in the judiciary will be permanently undermined while the world watches. An appeal is inadequate. Response. Number 1. This case presents the paradigm situation for a writ of mandamus. The court routinely relies on its original jurisdiction to address claims where attorneys have been or should have been disqualified. It cites the statute, and the respondent and attorney general do not dispute this fact. The unlawful disqualification of a lawyer strikes at the heart of the public trust in the integrity of the judicial process and requires this court to invoke its inherent authority to supervise the conduct of lower courts. And it cites another rule. A. Respondent severed his attorney-client relationship on her own motion and over Rick's objection. I'm going to scroll this down. He basically states in this document like 15 different ways Judge Gull effed up. Respondent misapplies the state Jones versus Knox, where she argues a writ is inappropriate. In Jones, the court denied a writ of mandamus and prohibition petition that challenged the trial court's decision to disqualify criminal defense counsel in a murder case. There, the attorneys initiated their own withdrawal. This court did not delay the writ for failing to have a clear, unequivocal right to reinstatement of counsel, but because this court, quote, will not countermine the trial court's ruling that placed defense counsel in precisely the position their motion indicated their willingness to be. This court did not doubt for a moment that a court-initiated discharge would properly fall within the court's original jurisdiction. In parentheses, his court is generally of the view that the trial court is limited in its authority to remove a criminal defendant's court-appointed counsel. Here, respondent made clear that she was discharging attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi on her own motion, regardless of how defense counsel proceeded or what the prosecutor wanted her to do. Respondent initially suggested defense counsel just, quote, read between the lines regarding what she was saying. You're a lawyer. Reading between the lines is what you do for a living. Eventually, she made it clear that she was unequivocally severing the attorney-client relationship and that there was no situation where attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi could proceed with representing Rick. And then it shows at the bottom, it's a quotation of what we just read where Mr. Rozzi or Hio, I think was Mr. Rozzi, said, so basically what you're saying is you guys either quit on your own accord or you make me fire you. That's what. And then I said, no, I'm saying to you, this is what I plan to say in court on the record when we convene at 2:00. Hio said, well, is the culmination of that you're removing us from the case? And I said, I will, based on what I've just shared with you. Hio said, okay, well, we just want to make sure and I said, and I'm just giving you the opportunity to have a conversation, which, how do you want that to go? I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this, but I will if I have to. She's saying it in kind of a snarky tone. And then we got respondent acknowledged that the prosecutor had initially asked to remove defense counsel during an informal phone call, but she concluded that she did not need a formal hearing on that request or even pleading on a file because she was acting to sever the entire defense team on her own motion. Hio said, I'm extremely, I'd say frustrated is probably a soft word with the idea that we showed up today without any real opportunity to prepare for any of this. And I just think it's improper. And that's where I am. That's my position. And I said, well, I think we've talked about it. When you, the prosecutor, asked for disqualification, I indicated on our phone conversation, I'd incline to do that. Mr. Rozzi said it was a phone conversation that was not on the record, and then some follow-up emails. And I said, true. I'm not going to read the bottom part. Well, I will. It says the affidavit from attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi and the email correspondences between the parties provide helpful context for this discussion and eliminate any ambiguity regarding who and what the judge is referring to here. The Attorney General has objected to these exhibits. The objection to these two exhibits, exhibits L and V, should be overruled. And then they cite a statute. Okay, this is just basically reading through. I don't really need to read through what we did. The court basically said, no, I'm doing this on my own. This is my motion. And attorneys Rozzi and Baldwin offered an alternative to avoid eliminating the entire defense team and ensure some semblance of continuity of counsel and efficient administration of justice. But respondent flatly rejected the request. And then it shows where Rozzi said that, and then I said no. Attorneys, let me scroll it down. Attorneys Rozzi and Baldwin spoke privately with Rick and returned to chambers to advise the judge. Rick objected to severing the attorney-client relationship. Attorneys, by saying he wants us to continue with his representation. Attorneys Rose and Baldwin suggested the respondent hear this directly from Rick. I think it's appropriate that the court let him speak on the record his thoughts, unless the court just accepts that as notice that those are his opinions. The expressed concerns that Rick's rights against self-incrimination would be prejudiced if he was forced to speak on public record without counsel, so they suggested bringing Rick into chambers. And then it cites that. The judge declined to hear from Rick directly because it would make the DOC uncomfortable and because she, quote, would not be comfortable having him in her office. The judge removed attorneys Rozzi and Baldwin over their and Rick's objections. Okay, so now we're past that part. We're at part B. It states that respondent had an absolute duty to refrain from severing the attorney-client relationship. Not a single Indiana case has tolerated similar behavior from a trial judge. There are only two narrow situations in Indiana where trial court has jurisdiction to sever an attorney-client relationship against the client's wishes. One, the lawyer is not a member of the state bar. Or two, the lawyer had an actual conflict of interest that will obstruct his ability to provide effective representation. No Indiana court has ever tolerated a trial judge removing a lawyer from a case over the client's objection based on anything other than these two reasons. And throughout their 8,000 words and nearly 50 pages of briefing, the responding parties failed to present a single Indiana case tolerating this behavior from a trial judge. So basically, they're saying that this has never, ever happened before. There's only two reasons you can be removed from a case, and none of those apply to what's going on here. Like, you can't even cite a statute where that's happened. Every Indiana disqualification case cited by the responding parties involves one of the following: 1, a conflict of interest; 2, an unlicensed attorney; or 3, a judge being reversed because she removed a lawyer from a case for some other reason. Okay. Attorneys Rozzi and Baldwin were licensed attorneys without any conflict of interest. The judge had an absolute duty to refrain from severing the attorney-client relationship. So I'm hoping y'all are understanding kind of what I'm saying. Hey Sarah, like basically this is a document saying how Judge Gull effed up. We're at C. Respondent obstructed the attorney-client relationship for reasons totally unconnected to the Sixth Amendment. When respondent severed the attorney-client relationship, she was acting on subjective opinions about the defense's conduct outside of the courtroom, not on any Sixth Amendment concerns that might alter the trial's outcome. Respondent argues that attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi committed multiple violations of the rules of professional conduct and that she acted to, quote, protect realtors' Sixth Amendment right to effective counsel. The rules of professional conduct are not co-extensive with the Sixth Amendment guarantee of assistance of counsel.
Can I borrow you for a second?
Yep.
All right. I'm going to say this once. I'm only going to say it once. I'm going to borrow this for a second, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah.
Give me 1 second.
This one was filed pretty much directly after.
I stole your screen.
Okay.
I stole your screen.
Yeah,
Can you
yeah.
see what I have posted? Okay. This is my back office. This is my studio.
Uh-huh.
And this is the comment that is on the back of my back office from one of our subs, of which I thought we had already talked about.
I don't know. I can't read it.
I'm about to tell you what it says. Can't accept that your hero, Richard Allen, was proven guilty. The judge is corrupt. Stop it. Number one, I never said one way or the other. I don't say whether I think something is or something isn't. That's not my place to do so. The court decided what they decided. It has nothing to do with me. Secondly, shame on both of you for repeating the defense lawyer rhetoric about Delphi and disregarding what unbiased reporters have told you. So you want to shame me for repeating what's on paper in the courtroom on record because I'm not listening to unbiased reporters? It ain't cute. Rick ain't the victim and Judge Gull ain't the perpetrator. First of all, I'm a big girl and I can decide who I care to entertain and who I do not. But I'm not going to sit up here and say I believe one way or the other. I don't know enough about the case. All I did was did a reading. 12 hours ago, you had an attitude. If you want to come up here and talk about it, let's do it.
I mean,
Other than that, I'm not going to entertain this anymore. We will continue to watch Allegedly do her content in her direction. I will not for another minute listen to another person out here, another creator, disregard one and only my friend, not only my friend, but a fellow creator that has a right to do what she wants to do on her platform. If you do not like Richard Allen, you do not like Delphi, that is okay. You may take the day off and come back tomorrow. That is all I'm going to say on that. Thank you all for what you do and for being here. But if you don't like the content for one day, come back tomorrow. I'm sure there will be another day. But you're not going to shame me in behind content on another creator, on my content, on my page about Allegedly. You're not going to do it. So let's just be. Let's let each other be.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me that. I apologize.
No, you're fine. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm at the stance that we're just reading documents. I mean,
that's exactly what we're doing. This is a piece of paper that I see that's a document.
And it's actually filed in court. But I again, I read it with some conviction and some attitude and maybe a little bias because
what are you trying to say, Courtney? I said everyone has an opinion. For someone to say that, don't be in the chat. Oh, okay. I was confused. I was like, oh, you keep your opinions. You're allowed to do that. But you're not going to shame somebody because I believe differently than you. is what I was trying to say. But I understand y'all are all allowed to think whatever you want about whoever you want, and I will respect it no matter what.
Right. Yeah, and this is already, I mean, you guys don't come here to hear me read documents, right? So if I can put a little bit of emotion in it, and that's what I'm going to do. But I appreciate you guys that are here sitting and listening to me read these documents. I find it interesting, and I think basically you heard the canter and the back and forth of what happened before that. Shaboogie's asked, when was this document filed? This was filed pretty much right after what we just read that happened in the chambers, and she said that they willingly withdrew from the case. Basically, the attorneys filed this paper that I'm reading to you now, stating that, this judge should not be on the case, and here are all the reasons why. Here are all the reasons of how she messed up, and they're basically saying what we read just a minute ago that happened in the chambers. They're saying that she did that, which has never been done before. She's saying we need to be removed from the case for reasons that are not relevant to this case at all. Continuing where we're at right now. Basically, she took us off the case for reasons that are not connected to the Sixth Amendment is where we're at right now. And I'll continue on the second line of this page. Ethical standards can apply to a broad range of attorney conduct totally unconnected to the Sixth Amendment, and the Sixth Amendment is concerned with deficient performance that has a responsibly probability to alter the trial's outcome. Attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi did not violate any ethical rules, and the judge, if she believed there was a violation of the rules of professional conduct, should have reported the violation in accordance with her obligation under Rule of Judicial Conduct 2.15, but this never occurred. Despite respondent claiming that there was a violation of ethical rules nearly a year ago when counsel issued a press release in November of 2022 affirming Richard Allen's innocence. In any event, respondent's subjective concerns with attorney Rozzi and Baldwin are wholly unrelated to the Sixth Amendment. Respondent's primary ground for her subjective belief about counsel's performance was the evidence leak discovered in October. Yet attorney Baldwin was a victim of a crime allegedly committed by Mitch Westerman, who super tediously took photographs of evidence. Law enforcement, a prosecutor, and the Johnson Superior Court have reviewed this matter and found probable cause to believe attorney Baldwin was a victim of a crime. And they cite a statute. So basically, they're saying that the photo leak wasn't supposed to happen, and further on that, the Supreme Court has ruled that I was a victim of a crime that happened because the photo was leaked from my office. Like, even though it came from my office, I'm a victim of a crime because I had nothing to do with it, yet you removed me from the case for that reason. Next page says, what happened to attorney Baldwin in October and other instances cited by respondent in no way affected the quality of representation attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi provided Rick and did not disrupt the trial strategy. So basically they're saying I'm a victim of a crime, and even though that happened, it's not disrupting our representation of Richard Allen. Now we're at D. I think there's E. I think this is like the second to last one. I'm not sure. D says Rick clearly and repeatedly asked respondent to refrain from severing the attorney-client relationship, but she acted anyway. Basically, they're saying Rick asked you not to take us off the case, but you did anyway. Disqualification was first mentioned by the state in a telephone conference on October 10, 2023. The very next day, Rick unequivocally affirmed in a writing he still wanted attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi to represent him. Trial counsel filed Rick's letter with the court and included a lengthy letter to the court that explained that the court lacked jurisdiction to disqualify counsel because there was no conflict of interest. That same day, the trial court ordered counsel to cease work on Rick's case. Before the hearing on October 19th, 2023, so that's saying before we just had that in-chambers meeting that we read through like a play, attorney Baldwin retained counsel and filed a memorandum again informing the trial court that it lacked jurisdiction to remove counsel absent a conflict of interest. During an in-chambers proceeding held before that hearing in open court, when respondent revealed that her own motion was disqualifying counsel, attorney Rozzi argued that respondent lacked the authority to do so. So basically, they're saying she had no authority to take us off of the case. and it was her motion that did that. After the in-chambers proceeding, Attorney Rozzi filed a notice informing the court that he was remaining on the case as Rick's attorney, as well as a motion for respondent's recusal. So basically, after that meeting, he filed a paper saying, I'm going to stay on the case regardless, and you need to be removed. That's basically what he said to her, the court. The court struck the pleadings and indicated it would take no action on them. So basically, the court said, yeah, I'm throwing this out with yesterday's news. Attorney Baldwin, by his counsel, filed a motion to reconsider his removal as counsel, arguing the respondent lacked jurisdiction to disqualify counsel, particularly concerning that a motion for her recusal was pending. So basically, he said, you can't take me off the case, especially when there's a motion saying that you need to be taken off the case and it's currently pending. Respondent did not take any action on the motion. Basically, she ignored the motion. The day before the next scheduled hearing in Rick's case, attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi entered their appearance on Rick's behalf as private counsel. At the hearing, Rick's attorneys argued again that the court had no authority to remove them as counsel. On each of the 6 occasions mentioned above, attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi informed the court that respondent lacked jurisdiction to disqualify them. The claim was clearly and repeatedly presented to the trial court, but the trial court chose to act contrary to her absolute duty to refrain from severing the attorney-client relationship. Basically saying that even though she knew she basically, they're saying she broke the law by removing them. It goes through F on here and then we go to 2, but we're almost done. I know this is not like the most exciting thing, but I find it interesting and it's important, I think, to refresh this in our minds. Before we watch Lawyer Lee talk to the attorneys tonight, because the gag order has been lifted. So I'm sure I hope they're going to talk openly and candidly since the gag order has been removed. Back to the document, to number E, respondent delayed the efficient administration of justice. Respondent's conduct in this case was particularly harmful because severing the attorney-client relationship delayed the efficient administration of justice. The Attorney General argues that the need for efficient administration of justice should be balanced against the defendant's Sixth Amendment rights. Indeed, Indiana courts do not require judges to unflinchingly grant continuances or delay proceedings so a defendant can bring in counsel of his own choice on the eve of trial. Trial court balancing a defendant's right to go to trial in a timely manner with defendant's desire to delay proceedings indefinitely while he waited for his preferred attorney to recover from a potentially fatal medical condition. A defendant's last-second gamemanship for a new lawyer causes substantial loss of time for jurors, lawyers, and the court. So basically, they're saying we can't stop the court to wait for different counsel to arrive, like counsel of the person's choice. And now they continue, but the opposite situation occurred here. Respondent delayed proceedings to insert counsel of her choice. So basically, they're saying the opposite happened here. The judge delayed proceedings so she could put her own attorneys on the case. When the judge severed the attorney-client relationship in October, trial was scheduled to begin on January 8th of 2024. Rozzi and Baldwin spent nearly a year reviewing the voluminous discovery, conducting depositions, developing a speedy trial strategy, and pursuing a defense of third-party guilt. Attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi were active members of and in good standing with the Indiana bar, and they told the judge they were ready to, quote, try this case in January. There's nothing in record suggesting otherwise. The judge, on the other hand, had not ruled on several of Rick's motions. The Franks memo, which sought to suppress the warrant search that uncovered the firearm, has been pending since September 18, 2023. As of October 31st, 2023, respondent had not finished reading the motion. She said, I haven't finished even reading it. The motion for the state to produce Rule 404 and 405 evidence, which would inform counsel's decision whether to put Rick on the stand, had been pending for nearly a year. Also pending in August was a request for the transcript of the June 15th hearing, which counsel needed for use at a deposition and hearing. Finally, a motion in Lenham on ballistics evidence has been pending since June 13th, 2023. The motion seeks to exclude perpetrated expert testimony that an unspent cartridge found near the, so basically they're saying she's not even reading these motions. She hasn't even ruled on them. Like, she's just taking her sweet time, pretty much. Crime scene had been cycled through a gun found in Rick's home. A ruling from this motion is obviously critical to the efficient administration of justice. With respondent severed the attorney-client relationship, she was not balancing the Sixth Amendment right against the efficient administration of justice. On the contrary, she violated the Sixth Amendment when she inserted counsel of her choice and delayed all proceedings, denying Rick, the victims, the witnesses, and the public the efficient administration of justice. And then F is the remedy on appeal is non-existent. Only an original action can achieve a speedy trial with attorneys Rozzi and Baldwin at the helm. Rick is a pretrial detainee who is over 50 years old, has deteriorating health, and is housed in a prison among individuals who have been convicted of crimes. He files this writ asking for Rozzi and Baldwin to be reinstated, to remove the trial judge, and to mandate a trial with within criminal rule time frame. Only this court can deliver that relief. The responding parties failed to address the interwoven connection between Rick's speedy trial request and the respondent's Sixth Amendment violation. Here, murder charges were filed October 28th of 2022, and the parties agreed to set this case for trial in January, which was outside of the criminal rule period. Rick had a right to assume trial would be held on that date. Rozzi and Baldwin spent nearly a year reviewing the voluminous discovery, conducting depositions, developing a speedy trial strategy, and pursuing a defense of third-party guilt so they would be ready for trial on January 8th. They were ready to try this case as scheduled. And then she severed the attorney-client relationship over Rick's objection and thrust new attorneys upon him who were unprepared for a 3-week trial scheduled to commence in 3 months. So basically, they're saying that she shouldn't have thrown them off the case when they've been on it for a year, going through all this evidence, and then put new trials on 3 months away from trial date. No attorney coming into this case could be ready for a trial of this complexity within that time frame. Only attorneys who have worked on this case for over a year could be prepared. In short, only attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi could be ready for trial within the limits of Criminal Rule 4. A direct appeal after a jury trial is wholly inadequate. Trial has already been continued at the request of the new public defenders by 10 months to October of 2024, and the trial may well be continued again. When trial eventually proceeds, there will be unresolved Sixth Amendment issue. Carroll County, Allen County, the witnesses, the victims' families, lawyers, and Rick will all be dragged through a continual constitutionally informed trial. The Sixth Amendment issue will permeate every aspect of the case, rendering a fair trial impossible and tremendous waste of resources. Trial will be for practice only. That's really important. Trial will be for practice only. Like, that's states so much to me. Furthermore, the remedy on appeal will be retrial, not retrial with attorneys Brad and Rozzi. Richard Allen wants a trial with attorneys Brad and Rozzi, and only this court can grant that relief. Even if Richard Allen is acquitted in trial in October, his rights will be violated because justice will have been long delayed while his 50-year-old health continues to deteriorate in prison. Justice too long delayed is justice denied, by Martin Luther King. An interlocutory appeal would only exacerbate the harm Rick has already suffered. Even under the best of circumstances, an appeal takes months before a decision is reached. We're at the last page. Assuming one can receive permission from both trial and court to the Court of Appeals. And then number 2, given respondents' comments regarding trial counsel's performance and credibility, she cannot oversee a trial where they represent Rick. So basically, they're saying Judge Gull talks shit about us and thinks we're not adequate. So therefore, you can't keep your bias against us out of this trial, so that you can rule. You're biased, and you're gonna put that in effect with the trial, and it's not going to be good for Rick. So this is the last part. Given respondents' comments regarding trial counsel, I read that. Judge A judge shall be disqualified if any proceeding in which her impartiality might reasonably be questioned. Respondent argues that neither Rick nor attorneys Baldwin and Rozzi demonstrated that respondent had any bias or prejudice toward them. Yet, even before circumstances surrounding the discovery leak had been fully investigated, respondent indicated that she was leaning towards disqualifying counsel. So basically, they're saying even before we could investigate the leak of the photos, you were already saying you were leaning towards taking us off the case. Respondent also claimed counsel's motion for immediate transfer of custody for Rick had a lot of inaccuracies when compared to the state's affidavits. Respondent indicated she was denying the motion even though no hearing on the motion had taken place and Rick had been given no opportunity to present evidence. Basically, she denied a motion with no hearing and without even hearing evidence. Respondent said the same thing about Rick's motion requesting a modification of the safekeeping order filed in April 2023, that it contained inaccuracies and falsehoods. Respondent based that on the state's evidence presented at a hearing on the motion, but failed to acknowledge that respondent relieved the sheriff of his burden to transport Rick's primary witnesses to the hearing so that he could testify in support of Rick's motion. So basically, they're saying she denied that, so the sheriff didn't have to bring the witnesses to testify as evidence in that motion that she denied. And then it says, court to disregard any further efforts to retrieve inmate Baston from the Westville facility. This court is the only court now that can ensure Rick receives his fundamental right to counsel. A writ of mandamus is appropriate to reinstate Baldwin and Rozzi as court-appointed counsel, to set trial date within 70 days of the issuance of the writ, and to remove the judge and appoint a new one. So basically, that's an 18-page document stating how the judge effed up. And we know now that that motion was granted and they were put back on the case, but the judge was not removed. And she seemed to be kind of biased. And a lot of people think that the jury was, like they said, just a show. It wasn't a real, not a jury. The trial was kind of just a show and not an actual trial. Yes. This is absolutely nuts, Pam. Rachel said, Gull left a lot of the facts out of this case and allowed him to be tortured in prison for months. That's just wrong on so many levels. It is. I want to thank you guys for being here with us today. Everyone, please stay safe out there with all the crazy weather. I'm in Idaho and I'm used to it, but I know it's difficult for many people. Rachel, you stay safe as well. I enjoyed this stream. I wanted to change it up from Madeline Soto for a little bit. I will be honest with you. I did not. We're going to do what we were doing yesterday. I'm going to go through and get the timestamps for the specific parts of the interview that I have that I want to talk about. And then we're going to watch all of Hidden True Crimes interview. And we're going to talk about that and basically do what we were trying to do yesterday over again today. Yesterday I ended the stream because like Hio was represented in that stream and so was Hidden True Crime, okay? And it's not fair for me to play their content or to be on their channels to tag them or whatnot in a conversation that's taken place that is not wholly acceptable to everybody and myself included. So I deleted that stream or made it private because I didn't feel it's fair to put Hidden True Crime's name on it and Hio's name on it when things like what were being said as respectfully as possible. I talked to her the other day and she gave me permission to use her content because I always try to reach out to the content creators and ask them for permission, and she did give me permission to use it. So I hope she won't. Now I could understand her being angry if I left that other stream up, but I'm probably going to go back and delete it just so it's not even out there. That was kind of why I took it down, because it's not, again, her name was all over that, like her.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. She made sure she reached out. She wasn't going to just do it off the fly. That's the one thing I will say about allegedly behind the scenes. You will know that she's going to put your content out because she's going to respectfully ask for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know I could use fair
I
use.
appreciate me looking out though. It's important to know.
Yes,
Which,
thank you. I appreciate that. Am I passenger or me passenger? And if I do play somebody and y'all think they're gonna copy strike, please let me know, because sometimes I'll play stuff even though they haven't got back to me, and I really don't want to get copyright strikes.
Rachel,
So
are you saying she tends to copyright strike if you're not asking her for her content? Or are you saying she's going to copyright strike even though allegedly has written permission?
well, she told me that I could use it, but just like not to just play her content and just play
Right.
it
It's
all the
be
way through.
transformative.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll definitely watch out for that.
Yeah, I'll watch out for that. Hopefully we should be okay. But thank you for the warning. We'll find out. I've got one copyright strike so far that goes away in February, so hopefully not. She seemed really nice. I mean, I don't want to, she seemed really sweet to me behind the scenes. So anyway, thank you guys. I really appreciate you being here. I do have to go. I'm supposed to be somewhere in like actually about 2 minutes.
But
So
wait, before you go, I got to tell you something.
okay.
I will put out a video tonight because I just got the best email. I got Christmas in January today.
Oh, really? I'm super
Mhm.
excited.
Me too. I'm so
Yay.
excited. So I just wanted to
Awesome.
say that I haven't got to put out that kind of content in a minute. So I'm super excited to do that. And I love you guys. Thank you so much for allowing me up on your panel allegedly and for letting me and my husband participate with you. And I hope all of the content that you put out is fruitful for you and that it is a productive year in January and through, through December. I just want to say I really appreciate you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate you coming up too as well. And I
You're
really
welcome.
enjoyed today and you and your husband reading that with me. I found that really fun. I really enjoyed it. Thank you. And make sure you guys check out Hio, because like she just said, she got some information and she's going to put out a video, so make sure you check her out. Yes, please keep warm, everyone. So for tomorrow's stream, you'll see the same thumbnail you saw up for Friday. I'm just going to use all the same stuff and do it all the same, so it will look the same, but it will be new. And I love you all. I hope you have a really good day. And I'll definitely see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for being here with us today. I know that today wasn't maybe as some people might not have found it as interesting, but I love reading documents and I appreciate all of you sticking with me while I read them. And again, before I go, make sure you check out Lawyer Lee. I will make a community post. She's going to talk openly and candidly with the lawyers that we just talked about for so long, and check them out. I will be there. I will be there and I will comment. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Have the best night ever.